Feels weird coming over from that side. I'm used to sitting over there. But if you would turn in your Bibles to Proverbs chapter 20, and if you would also keep your finger in Proverbs chapter 23, I think it's interesting that both of these men mentioned alcohol, because that's going to be the topic of my message tonight, or so I was just saying tonight, this morning. When I was going through this, I had three different outlines. Actually, I started off with two, and the Lord kept on weighing. He's like, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do this one. And eventually the Lord spoke to me. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and He said, I want you to preach on alcohol. And thankfully, I had notes that Brother Bill had given me, and I was able to pull some stuff off of that. And so if you're in Proverbs chapter 20, I want you to look at verse 1. It says, Wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. Now I want you to turn over to Proverbs chapter 23. I want you to look at verse 29. We're going to go down to 35, and this is where we're going to get our text. Who hath woe? Who hath sorrow? Who hath contentions? Who hath babbling? Who hath wounds without cause? Who hath redness of eyes? They that tarry long at the wine, and they that go to seek mixed wine. Look not therefore upon the wine. I want you to remember that. Look not thou upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth its color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. At the last it biteth like a serpent, and stingeth like an adder. Thine eyes shall behold strange women, and thine heart shall utter perverse things. Yea, thou shalt be as he that lieth down in the midst of the sea, or as he that lieth upon the top of a mast. They have stricken me, thou shalt say, and I was not sick. They have beaten me, and I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it once again. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you, Lord, for the two young men that preached before me, God. Thank you for the message, Lord, that touched my heart, Lord. And I pray, Lord, that you would help me to preach, Lord, nothing more, nothing less, Lord. And bless this message. Pray for the preachers tonight, Lord, and prepare the hearts of the people that are going to listen to them preach, Lord. Pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Tonight, the title of my message is Raging Destruction in the Cup. I want to give you 6 destructions of alcohol, maybe 5, depending on time and depending how the Lord leads, because I finished this up last night. So, not 100% sure how that's going to go. But the first destruction I want to give you is destruction of the family. I want you to look down at Proverbs 23 and at verse 33. Thine eyes shall behold strange women. I want you to look at that first part. The eyes shall behold strange women. If you're a married man, that strange women is someone who's not your wife. Then eyes shall behold strange women. You say, Brother Jeff, I'm not going to be looking at I'm not going to be looking at other women. Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. When alcohol gets a hold of your life, you're not in control of your eyes. I want you to turn over to Genesis. I want you to turn over to Genesis chapter 19. I'm going to prove what I said here. Genesis chapter 19, if you would look at verse 33, and we're going to go down to 35. They had made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not, I want you to look at that word, he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father, let us make him drink wine this night also. So we know he was drunk. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve the seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night, and the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. He perceived not. The main part of the word perceive is the word see. He had no control over his eyes. When alcohol comes into your life, you have no control of what's going to happen to you. You have no control of what the events is going to happen. What you see is not what you're actually seeing there. Alcohol is going to ruin your life. Alcohol is going to make you go on the wrong path there. You think you're going down the right path, but alcohol is going to wake you. When you wake up from that alcohol, when you wake up from that drunkenness, you're going to wake up and say, why am I on this path?
Amen.
And then they're going to turn back to that alcohol. And they're going to keep on going down that path because they don't feel like going back. They're just going to keep on going on that stuff. And I'm going to say this also now. This is talking of, I'm pretty sure, this is talking about Lot here. I'm going to add this in here. Alcohol does create pride. You wonder why there's so many crazies in this world. You wonder why there's so many, am I allowed to say pedophiles? I'm going to say pedophiles. Okay. All right. You wonder why there's so many pedophiles. You wonder why there's so many people preying on kids. You wonder why there's so many rape in this world. You want to know why there's so much sexual immorality of this world. It's because of alcohol. I'm going to tell you that right now. You look at this. He laid with his daughters. This is blood daughters right here. His daughters overtook him with the wine. His daughters deceived him with the wine. Okay? You know, you ask any man in here, I'm sure, any man, he would say, he would cross his heart, he would say, I would not lay down with my daughter. I would not lay down with any of my family. When alcohol was in his system, he wasn't able to see what that does. Alcohol destroys the family. Alcohol destroys the heart. I want you to look at that same verse in Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 23, verse 33. Thine eyes shall behold strange women, and thy heart shall utter perverse things. I want you to keep this verse in mind here. Luke 21, verse 34. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, so that the day come upon you unaware. That word charge means command. Now, it seems to us that if you're a Christian, God should be in command of your heart. But I want you to look at this word overcharged. It's not just charged, it's overcharged. So it seems like when you have alcohol in your system, you're not in charge. God's not in charge of your heart there. Your chart's been overcharged. If you're here, this is what should be controlling there. Alcohol just comes over there and takes command of your life there. It says, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness. Alcohol, it will destroy your heart. Your heart's where you make all your decisions. All right? You want to go do something, you would think about your heart. This is the problem with the world. You would see in Jeremiah that the heart is deceitful, wicked above all things. Who can know its ways? And now you're even making it worse, putting alcohol in your system, okay?
Yeah. Come on.
I want you to think about that.
Come on.
Our fourth one is it destroys our awareness. I want you to go back to, I want you to go to Genesis chapter 9 this time. Genesis chapter 9, and we're going to look down at verse 20 to 24. And this is shortly after Noah came off the ark here. And in verse 20 it says, And Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told the two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment, and laid it upon both their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his younger son had done to him. I want you to notice here, it destroys your awareness. In verse 24, it says, in verse 24, it says, And Noah awoke from his wine. He wasn't aware of what happened because he was asleep. You're not aware of the things that happen to you when you're asleep. Someone could probably touch you. Someone could probably roll across you. I know, I'll take a coworker. His name's Travis. If you'd go back in my dad's phone and look through some pictures, there's a picture. He fell asleep in the truck, and they just started piling trash on him. And he was unaware that happened to him. Now, he wasn't drunk, but when you're asleep, you're not aware of what happens to you. But it says Noah awoke from his wine. So when you're drunk, when you have alcohol in your system, when you have booze in your system, you're not aware of what's going on there. And you could bring this back to our first point there, that it ruins your perception. I want you to turn to Isaiah chapter 28. Isaiah chapter 28, I want you to look at verse 7. I made a typo in here, and it said verse 71, and I looked in here, and there was no verse 71. But verse 7, it says, But they have also erred through wine, and through strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet had erred through strong drink. They are swallowed up of wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision, and they stumble in judgment. They're not aware of what's going on. They're not aware of what's going on around them. Now, I want you to be aware of something. There's a lost and dying world out there. There's people every day going to hell, and there's a devil that's out there trying to get you, Christian, who's trying to take command over your life through booze. He's trying to take command over your life through alcohol. He's trying to take command over your life through drugs. You don't let him do that. 1 Peter 5:8 says, Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil as a roaring lion walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Be sober, be vigilant. You can't be sober. You cannot be vigilant if alcohol is in your system, if it's taking away your awareness. I want you to look at our fifth point. It destroys the church. I want you to turn over to Romans chapter 14. Romans chapter 14, I want you to look at verse 21. Verse 21. It said, "It is good neither to eat flesh, nor to drink wine, nor anything whereby the brother stumbleth, or is offended, or is made weak." I want you to see here, read this again actually. "It is good neither to eat flesh, nor to drink wine, nor anything whereby thy brother stumbleth, or is offended, or made weak." Wine's going to, we were listening to this guy, he was being interviewed on this, he was co-star on a TV show, and he said for years he struggled with alcohol. And he said the hardest thing was not just not drinking, but when you have a buddy on the left of you and the buddy on the right of you, and both of them have a Budweiser in their hand, that temptation's just coming at them. And it's coming at them. You, by drinking, you say it may not affect me. Well, one, it is affecting you. We've already seen this before. But the person who's around you trying not to drink, trying not to let sin take over his life there, it's affecting him as well. I want you to look a couple verses down at Romans chapter 14, verse 13. "Let us not therefore judge one another anymore, but judge this rather, that no man put a stumbling block or an occasion to fall in his brother's way." We're not to be putting a stumbling block in our brother's way. Now, I want you to think of something here. Now, we're in a pretty unified church, and praise God that we're in a pretty unified church here, but I want you to think of something here. What if someone in here started bringing a bit of a stumbling block to someone? Maybe it went in the music ministry. And then our music ministry gets depleted. And our preaching gets depleted. Because someone put a stumbling block, and if this church is united, if this church is standing strong, straight upwards, and it's like a domino effect. You put a stumbling block in front of someone, and then they're going to start sinning, and that's going to put a stumbling block in front of someone, and then they're going to start sinning, and eventually this unified church that's serving God, that's winning souls, that's going out preaching, that's going out winning souls. We're doing great music ministry. We're planting churches. That church is defeated. That church, the name Baptist just comes out of the door. We drop the King James Bible. Our music goes horrible. It goes contemporary, and eventually the church will just fall. The church will become a church for Satan. Alcohol will destroy your church. It destroys our witness. I want you to turn to Isaiah again. Isaiah chapter 5. Isaiah chapter 5, verse 11. We're going to go down to verse 12. "Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflame them. And the harp, and the viol, and the tabret, and the pipe, and wine are in their feasts, but they," get this, "they regard not the work of the Lord, neither consider the operation of his hands." I want you to think of this here. The work of the Lord, that's to go out, win souls. We've seen this plenty of times through preaching. We see this plenty of times. But I recall again, there's a lost and dying world out there. And because you're too selfish, I'm going to go out here, you're too selfish that you're not doing the work of the Lord. You're out there, you want to have a good time. It says in verse 12, "And the harp and the viol and the tabret and the pipe and the wine are in their feast." They got some music, they got, they're partying, they got their wine, they're getting all drunk here. But I want you to notice something here, that they regard not the work of the Lord. You could be sitting on your porch. You could be drinking. Think about this. Your neighbors in front of you have never witnessed to them. And they're lost and they're dying and they're going to hell. I want you to think about that. Because you're too drunk to notice this. You're not doing the work of the Lord. Amen. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 1. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 1. "Wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever deceives thereby is not wise." I want you to look at these last words, and I'm going to close with this. "And whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise." Proverbs chapter 11, verse 30 says, "The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he that winneth souls is wise." I want to ask you tonight something, Christian. Is alcohol coming over your life and deceiving you? Is alcohol taking away from your family, from your heart, from your church, from your awareness, from your witness? Is alcohol ruining your life? Is alcohol ruining other people's lives? If it is, take it away. Even if it doesn't seem like it is. Alcohol is obviously a sin. We see this in